Velkommen til Refleksjonsrommet. AI is rapidly entering the construction industry. But will AI agents and even autonomous engineers drive efficiency further or take over traditional roles? In today's episode, we explore how Consigli is pioneering this transformation, leveraging cutting-edge technology to revolutionize the way buildings are designed and constructed. We'll dive into how their autonomous engineer reduces waste, cuts costs, and optimizes complex building systems, while also discussing the global potential of scaling this technology. Is this the future of construction? Stay tuned to find out. Hello, Janne Aas-Jakobsen, and welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
I've really been looking forward to this conversation because I've been following you and Consigli for a while now. And it looks like you have an amazing product. Can you please tell us a little bit about yourself and your company?
Yeah, I'm the founder, CEO of Consigli. My background is structural engineering. So I've been in the real estate and construction industry for 25 years. Discovered AI and thought, well, this is something that can really, really make a difference to all the hurdles we have when we do planning and engineering and real estate development. So started Consigli with the aim of using AI for everything that AI is good at, solving in real problems that we have when we, or challenges when we do real estate development. So we built something that we call the autonomous engineer, because nobody wants to buy technology, right? So we wrapped her into co-worker that you can hire into your organization. And she has a very specific skill set, but she's already trained to do quite a lot of the engineering, quality assessment, and helping out in the development team for both developers, but also for general contractors.
And I think that this is a part of the construction industry that's really been lacking good tools for seeing the big picture, not just for one part like electrician, plumber, etc., but big picture. So I think that the way you're thinking about this problem is really good, and it's really interesting to see how this can process into the construction, and also in how you're thinking about the early stages of construction sites.
Yeah, and we've had plenty of tools coming out over the last 20 years, but the tools are generally focused on digitizing what has been on paper before. Many tools for engineers and people working. And I think the big shift in technology now is having AI agents doing a lot of the work that engineers would do, at the same time also being their tools. So it's a great technological shift, and I believe the shift in business processes following this is even greater. Exciting times in the industry.
It's really exciting, and I think it's about time that we unleash the computer's capability to really help us do more precise work earlier in the process, because I think a lot of things we do today is too manually, and we've got to get help from the computers and letting them do what they're experts in.
Yeah, and designing buildings and doing the engineering is a really complex task, right? You need to get the ventilation right, the electricity right, automation right, the sprinkler, the fire systems. There is really high complexity in getting this right and close to optimal, like we strive to do. But the thing is that AI is good at that, solving high complexity, and especially since in our industry, very real. Everything is leaning on laws of physics. We know the capabilities of the vendors' systems. We have very specific code. Like there's a lot of rules of what we're allowed to do and not. A lot is standardized. So it's a high complexity, but it's a high complexity of knowns. And that is where AI really performs better than a large group of people trying to solve this together in the group work.
Yeah, that's also what's really intriguing, because we have so much complexity, but we have a lot of rules we need to follow, and computing all that into one AI model, that's what I think would be really amazing. But how much of that have you been doing? Or is it just by country, or can you also do it like a general purpose tool?
We have developed skill set so she can do all the technical systems. So if she has the geometry, I know some of the architects are not upset when I call their work geometry, but to me as an engineer, what the architect is taking responsibility of is getting the geometry right for the building. And then when that is in place, getting all the technical systems up, planning where to put the ventilation ducts, where the cables are going, where you have sprinklers, and then all the pipes to the sprinklers. All of those systems is a high complexity to match that geometry to get it right. At the same time, comply with all the codes, making systems that vendors can actually deliver on. And we do struggle in our industry that when we put all of that together, we haven't been able to get an optimal solution. We are using way too much material. So if you look at the material going into real estate and construction, we use 40% of all available material in the world, which leads to an enormous carbon footprint. So taking out the waste, I know it's a boring sustainability thing to use less, but it's actually what matters. We can use less. If we, at the current situation, we are able to take down the use of material to the technical systems with about 20%, which is massive. So for us, yeah. So for us now, it's a matter of taking the technology global so we can save the world, as we say. It might sound very ambitious, but it is real. If we can reduce with 20% all the material going into technical systems in buildings globally, it will make a huge difference. So that's the journey we're on. We developed the technology with Norwegian developers and general contractors and the industry in Norway, taking it from Scandinavia into UK. So we have already many of the largest developers here in UK and some of the largest general contractors as customers as well. And scaling the company currently from London because it's such a hub for real estate worldwide. We last year we went into US as well, so we have a growing number of large clients in US using us, and also general contractors. We are into Japan and some other Asian projects more than country-wise. I think we are kind of following the clients that we have in other markets out. And the plan is to scale this globally as fast as possible.
Cool. And I think that you're in the right place in the industry to accelerate, because with good planning comes great results. And today, I think that we have a little bit more like planning and okay results. And I think that you can really step it up by using a project like Consigli to get better tools, and with that, better results.
Yeah, it's also a lot of money involved, right? It's an industry that is really, really, really money intensive. So, and just the cost of the time it takes to engineer a building is enormous. So we see when we provide our services to the development team and they can get tenants into a large development maybe a year earlier, that is a lot of money. So reducing the material and then the cost, we take out a lot of risk, but also the time aspect. So I think the awareness of what it costs to spend years in engineering hasn't been very high in the industry, and we're taking out a lot of that time, which the investors are really happy about.
Well, of course, and I think that a reduction of 20% of waste, it's also a reduction of 20% of money spent on things you don't need. So it's really just a win-win.
Yeah, both on the components itself and the stretches of pipes and ducts and cable trays, but also the installation cost of it. And then also when we produce the interdisciplinary design really, really fast at the better quality, we also take out a lot of risk. And this is an industry that, some say it's just a matter of pushing risk to another part of the value chain, but taking out risk because we have higher quality also is a lot of money. But there's also a lot of waste concerning that risk as well, because we do build stuff and then it was wrong and then we tear it down and then we have to rebuild. And there's a lot of lost efficiency over the years as the complexity has grown. and it's not an industry that has been very industrialized.
The potential is enormous, and I think that seeing over the last 10 to 15 years, we've also had a slowing down in efficiency of building sites, at least in Europe. So I think that industrializing and using new tools will have a huge benefit. So the possibility to grasp a better part of the market is also already there.
And it's kind of, we have digitized for 20 years and the efficiency has gone down. So it's clearly a market ready to be disrupted. And it is one of the largest asset class in the world. So it's a huge market ready to be disrupted. And that is why we have positioned ourselves the way we have done. And I also, I've just been really intrigued by the whole, I know it hasn't maybe reached the whole market yet, but Microsoft now going out and say, well, AI agent or agentic AI is going to replace SaaS, and that whole shift going on there, because I think we can also move even further away from having people working through a user interface to deal with databases. We now have, like, our autonomous engineer is an agent, right? She can go directly into the databases, fetch what she needs to know to get her things done, and then leave it back to the databases. So it's available to take forward in the process. But there is a maturity in how we're used to working that doesn't allow us to do that yet. But technically we can do that. So we could have taken the architectural model at that early stage architectural model and just completed a full, here in London they call it stage 3, in Norway they call it full project, in 2 days. But because we're so used to, we have processes that are, I don't know, we have a checklist, like you need to do these things. We need to have a human doing all of these different things before everybody's happy. And we have processes that you need to fulfill the process, and kind of lost track of the goal of the process. There's a little bit of reluctancy to jump right into just doing what is most efficient, what is most sustainable. So there is a lot of change we need to do as humans to allow ourselves to be more efficient. So I hope it's going to go faster. It was just really nice to see that the big tech companies are now talking about AI agents replacing SaaS, because in a sense that also means that you're replacing the human work with the SaaS interface as well, and let the agent do the most efficient work. So really, really exciting changes going on, and I'm eager to see how fast that will happen in our industry, which is a very traditional industry, very hard to change. But with that amount of money that is possible to save now, and we need really to do something about the sustainability situation. My hopes is that that this would not take as long as other shifts has taken in this industry.
The thing is that we build real things, and real things take some time to move the parts, at least. So I think that to go faster, we need to do it pre-project, because that's where the efficiency of the building project will come. And that's where we will have the best results.
Yeah.
But coming back to this SaaS AI agents, what's going to be the big shift in how you sell software?
I think there is a huge potential. We have already, if you look at it from that angle, we have already, our agent has eaten the SaaS layer of Autodesk, right? Because when the autonomous engineer is doing the work, so replacing the engineer's human labor, she doesn't need a Revit license, because she just does the work, produces the interdisciplinary BIM. So there's quite a lot of Revit users that doesn't need Revit licenses on the different tools in that software suite. So already we have eaten a lot of the SaaS that is out there. And at the same time, when we use the standards, we go into the code and all of that. Of course, the autonomous engineer goes directly into the database and uses the data. She doesn't go through the interface, clicking on and using the SaaS layer on that database. So that is why when I started to read about it now, just over the holidays, I was so intrigued that somebody put put a theory or a concept to what we already have done quite a lot of. And of course, within what comes out now in the articles, there is a lot of other things that we simply haven't thought about yet, which totally makes sense for us to do. So it has shifted what we plan to do from now and forward, especially on the user interface layer.
Yeah, and also one of the interesting things will be that we now have new hardware, which is much more capable. So just the computers will be much more capable of doing complex things. So the future looks different than what we've been used to. And although a lot of people may need to adjust their workload, I think it would be a really good possibility to now shift over to AI agents instead of manual work.
Yeah, and in the matter of solving high complexity, with the newest chips coming out from Apple, newest tools from NVIDIA, we have a really close relationship with NVIDIA, work closely with them to make their innovations happening in the real estate industry. We're building on Microsoft Azure database. So of course, all that extra strength in the machine just makes it easier to tackle even more complexity. And to like the consequences of that, I hope, will be that we're able to make better buildings for future society. So that's the ultimate goal: sustainable buildings that are better for the users of the buildings. Because the whole purpose for the real estate industry is to support somebody else's business process or living process or healing processes, right? We build tangible things where other processes are happening inside of them. So if we can provide, as an industry, better buildings without harming more, I think that is something we need. It's something we need to strive for, because a lot of the buildings, even we see new buildings today, it takes a year or two before they actually perform well, because the planning has been bad. And then if your planning is bad, then it just escalates, right? When you put it into reality and you build it, it's physical. So we have a huge potential as an industry to do better.
On the construction sites here in Norway, we say this is typical LPP problem. Løses på plassen. It translates to something like solved on site, and I think that is a big source of problems.
Part of why this industry has been allowed to move like that and do like that as well is the lack of knowledge about the planning that goes into technical systems, for instance. Because searching also in literature, in research, I was trying to generate research report now on designing technical systems, because Stanford has this new amazing AI tool now where you can generate research reports based on previous research, and references are actually referencing real articles. And I was trying to generate reports when it comes to the engineering of technical systems. And the thing is, all the first reports were all about operation. So when you talk about smart buildings, engineering, technical systems, everything that's been done is within operation. So when the building is built and the operation managers are trying to get it to perform. And then if you put in design, there's a lot in architecture. It seems like nobody actually knows, or general people don't know, that the industry of doing the engineering of all the technical system, everything else that the architect is not responsible for, it seems to be unknown. And it gives me wonder, doesn't people know what Multiconsult, Norconsult, ACOM, Arup, Mott MacDonald, the huge companies earning enormous amount of money, and this is what they do. They plan how the technical systems in buildings are going to be before somebody goes out and build it. But when the society doesn't know about that, I think it's been okay to say, well, it's solved on site when something gets too hard to figure out of. And I think this whole on site, that's too late. We need to plan optimal buildings and give the people on site good tools to build great buildings. Because when they get out and the specifications they get is not, there's clashes in between what has been planned. It needs to be solved on site, but that's too late.
If you solve it on site, you usually get the best solution for solving it on the site, which means that the construction worker at site gets the best possibility for himself, not for the whole project.
First one, right?
And then you will have huge problems with unseen consequences that someone else will have to solve another time on site. And then the ball is rolling, and it can be a really hard problem to solve.
Yeah, and it's also like we're going to have one building, but the way traditionally we're doing the engineering is that we do it one by one discipline, and then we just expect it to perform as one building afterwards. And I think a lot of the energy consumption relating to real estate is a result of not thinking about it as one building, like one building that is going to perform for the user. So there's a lot of sub optimizing in between the disciplines as well. And that's also a hurdle that we strive to overcome, taking the interdisciplinary design in one go and say, how can we make something that is optimal based on the whole complexity, just not one single discipline.
Sorry, can you say that word one more time? Interdisciplinary design?
Yeah, interdisciplinary design. So you have all the disciplines. You both have the electrical and automation and the ventilation and the heating and the fire systems and all the different disciplines. And today you would have one engineer responsible for each and one of them. And then when everybody has planned their thing, they meet and they try to coordinate it. But then everybody has like a preset mind on how this is going to be solved. And to be responsible for the totality of it is really hard. It's a huge complexity, and usually everybody's gone and studied one of the disciplines, not the total package, which makes sense when we need to have humans containing the knowledge. But now when we can train the machine, she can be all the engineers at one time. She has read all the books. She's gone studied all the different disciplines at university, and she's been doing all of that in real projects for a long time. So that's where the machine can really help us as that super coworker that just knows everything.
Yeah, I think that's where the big potential lies. I think all the big problems on construction sites today is coming from bad decisions given on bad information, and having systems that looks at the big picture, the whole system as one, is where you can have the best results given afterwards. Sometimes it's not every decision is bad because of the information you have, but the information you already have is bad, so the decisions you then give is fundamentally bad.
Yeah. And so there's a lot of potential in this industry, which is great. That's where you want to be, right? When you make new tech.
But over to Consigli again. How many clients do you now have around the world?
We have more than 100 clients at the moment. A large proportion of it are developers, but also now over the last year, I will say the general contractors have really picked up. You know, when the first one are starting to use her, and then they lower the price 20% because it's more efficient what they bid for, and the other ones loses. They come to us and they want help too. So there's been great scaling within the general contractors market. We started, I think, in 2022, we more or less only had Norwegian clients. 2023, we were 50-50 Norwegian and outside of Norway. 24 looks like more or less the same, a little bit less in Norway. The market in Norway has been at a standstill, not a lot of investments due to the global or the economy.
I think it's a big correction now in the market in Norway. So being an international company is way better, I think.
Yeah, for us it was actually good that it was starting to get harder in Norway because it forced us to get out. We saw that there's not going to be a lot of investments in new projects, development projects in Norway over the next years with the interest rates going up. So we need to do something. We need to get to a bigger market, and that was why we took the plane to London and started to see whether the market was ready for us. And we came here, and to surprise, it seems to us that the UK market is more mature when it comes to digital transformation than the Norwegian market. And I think we like to think of the Scandinavian market and the Norwegian market as very advanced when it comes to digital thing. But what we experience here in UK is that they are further along than what we are in Norway when it comes to, especially in this industry. And we also I've seen a big change in US over the last year. They were really reluctant to AI when we first started in the beginning of the year. They were scared of it, paranoid even, some of them. And then just after, especially after ChatGPT came around and they started to play around with that, something with the maturity towards AI happened. So now there's a big shift. And just the last few months of last year, it was amazing to log on to new meetings and experience that, oh, now they're ready to use AI and get the benefits out of it.
I think that ChatGPT has been enormously important for AI. And the fact that it's so good at almost everything, it's been a enormous possibility for everyone in the world to see what's their capability.
Yeah.
But it's also a lot of weakness in the program coding because it's so general. I think that with the right type of code, you can really narrow the things that it's good at to be much more precise and not hallucinate so much. I think that everyone could see themselves having an LLM assistant to help them in their everyday life. At least I would like that.
Yeah, and the good thing, I could hardly believe it when ChatGPT came around, because we were of course building the deep tech AI, which consists of other kinds of AI than the large language models. But took a while to build that. And meanwhile, we were also leaning on the technology, the AI technology behind the large language models, which is called natural language processing. So we had a team with PhDs in natural language processing, and we were making these quality assessments tools. So we were checking the tender packages and searching for discrepancies. They were all leaning on language. And then suddenly ChatGPT came around. So I believe we were the first company in Norway to use that professional GPT from OpenAI into commercial product in the market. It only took us about less than a week to get it implemented. So and then we, of course, licensed the professional part of the GPT, because I like to make the comparison that you wouldn't put somebody in a running short out on a building site. You want proper clothing and proper secure clothing. And I believe within AI as well. You don't want to use the public ChatGPT at work. You need something that has the security, is trained to work in a professional environment. So what we did was to quickly just implement that amazing technology into the products we already had, and then we just saw the increase in performance in a product. And that's what we done throughout the whole. But the deep tech that we deliver in AI is built on other kinds of AI as well. But combining it with the forces of the large language models is just amazing.
What was your feeling the first time you actually got to use ChatGPT and saw the answers?
I was just mad. I didn't sleep that night, and I was calling people in the middle of the night and texting. It's like, is this real? Is it me just thinking this could be this potential? Is it really this? And I came to the office next morning and talked to the people that had PhDs in this kind of technology, and they were amazed. And they said, "Yeah, I believe this can work in our solution. I definitely do that, but it will hallucinate. It would be so everything that was not communicated those first days. They already knew about." But it will hallucinate a lot. There is all these things we need to be aware of, but that is not a problem, because we can just take down the hallucination. We know how to manipulate it so that it actually works, and then we put security measures into the user interface, so you can actually get to know where she bases her answer upon, which document, and all that. So I believe that is a good thing about having amazing people with fantastic knowledge about these technologies, is that they also see the weaknesses, but they also know how to overcome those weaknesses and build secure system around it, so it can navigate and be put to the market in a professional way. And I think that is crucial. Otherwise, we will end up doing more errors than we've done previously. We need to have the industry.
No doubt, no doubt. If you let it talk to your till itself for too long, it will start to hallucinate, and that's not what we want.
Yeah.
Okay, when it comes to your partners or customers, is it mostly private or state-owned companies?
Oh, in Norway, we have about 30 municipalities as customers already. Some of them have also we've gotten into the public procurement and got framework agreements with them. We have also here in UK, there's all these NDAs. I'm not sure which one I'm to mention, but we have large public clients in UK as customers as well, and we are talking to some of them in US as well. It's a mix. It's a mix. We can go listed companies, smaller companies. We go in all the different kinds of buildings, so mixed use, residential, office buildings, logistics, data centers. So more or less like also the engineering companies are doing. They're doing all kinds of buildings. You wouldn't use the autonomous engineer on a single family home because that is not so complicated. So, but everything bigger.
No, yeah. Some of the buildings behind you would probably be more suitable.
Yeah, we've done quite a lot of high rises, and for one of the companies here in London, for instance, how she works, she can go into those, in the apartments where you have these voids to contain all the technical installations in your ceiling. We have trained her to go in and rearrange everything so that you don't have to have that void so big, so you can get a ceiling height. And of course, in buildings like behind me, when you can reduce that ceiling heights in very many stories, there's high value for the developers because they can sell those apartments in another segment. You can go from regular segment to luxury segment, and the money involved in that in tall high rises like this is just enormous.
You said you don't need licenses for Revit or Autodesk and stuff like that. If you have a digital twin, a BIM model, can your engineers use those type of files?
Oh, we are creating the BIM model. So yeah, so that is what she does. You don't need an engineer to create a BIM model. She's creating the BIM model. She's not an architect, so you need an architect to make a model, and then you simply upload on the open format. We're leaning on the open IFC format because I believe in using open format so we can get interoperability without getting stuck in big companies' ownerships. So we simply take in the architectural model and then in the open format, and then she makes all the discipline BIMs in one go. So in 2 days, we can have the full BIM ready for you, ready for tender in a full project or stage 3 design. And then you don't need an engineer to make a BIM. And then she doesn't make other BIMs. She's making the BIM instead.
Really impressive.
Thank you.
But what's the main purpose? If I want to build, or if I have preferences of what I want to build, like if I want to have office spaces of a specific size, can you also put that in as a parametric design?
But that is the architect, right? Architect decide the sizes of the room. But if you want to have more air, like when we work for hotels, it's typically that like Marriott will have their specifications, Hilton will have their specification. It doesn't matter where in the world. So sometimes the specifications they have is much stronger than a local code in the country or the area. So she would just design what you tell her to design, and you can tell her just in a document. You just take the PDFs or the Excel sheets or the Word documents that you have, and you just upload it, and then she uses large language models technology to understand input parameters, and that is what she uses because that's what you told her to design, and then she designs according to that.
Yeah, I think that we're in for a revolution. And I mean, I think I want there to be a revolution because there is so many people that could do so much more and better things with their time than they're doing today.
Yeah, but more important is that we waste material in the world. We create a carbon footprint that is we cannot continue doing it, and we waste a lot of money, investors' money, and we do not make buildings could be better for the users.
Well, I think that we can end it there with that great message. I think that this year will be really great for you and Consigli, and I really hope that. And for everyone that's interested in talking to you, where can everyone get a hold of you?
Yeah, just send me an email. I'm at janne@consigli.no. We do it simple. We do it very simple in our company. So just send me an email or look me up on a LinkedIn and link with me, and we'll get right back to you.
Fantastic. Okay, thank you so much for your conversation and your time. And I hope to see you next time you're in Oslo.
Thank you very much for having me. It was a pleasure.